Hello everybody, Anton is here. So before I decided to make the full functional vehicle design in 3D code, I did a test tutorial where created the whole kind of sketch. So I was looking for the ways to create stuff pretty fast and still that would look mechanically correct. Then I thought it was a pretty good idea to upload this sketch process to YouTube because I show all the key points that I showed later on in the full tutorial. And here it's a much faster process. This part of the tutorial is about how I made the body, the frame, and essentially the shell inside. So let's get to that. Alright, so let's move on to the fun part of the car and let's do the frame. And our sphere tool is the most invaluable tool in this particular case. I'll activate the symmetry, have my car frame layer already set up, and let's just build it up. So it's probably too thick, the brush size, so I'll make it smaller. And let's draw this. The car frame I would just, in a lot of sense, I would say just follow common sense, how it would hold the weight. And again, looking at the reference of different vehicles, of car frame of different vehicles is quite beneficial. Do check more like ATV vehicles, racing cars where they have a custom-made frames, because that allows them to build this type of frame. Since more of mass production cars, they often have a unibody and monobody frames. They are really different from this, and it's not really my intention to make mass production unibody buggy. So I'm looking for the points to connect my parts, my frame structure. And there'll be an engine. For the engine I will be using some boring electric blob because I don't want to go into engine design much. And the electric engines are much simpler in terms of you just need the electric motor and the battery and nothing else really, and maybe a few wires for the sensors. No, just building the support here and there. I don't really like this big massive part. I think I'll just need to change the suspension angle and draw something more like this, much lower. And so they have the steering wheel somewhere there. This guy might want to just make this slightly wider to give more space for the driver. Okay, switch to drawing methods. Created this unnecessary line which I don't like by accident, so let's connect this too. If for example you are saying you will be like, oh well, I want to make the frame which is not just straight lines, something a bit more organic, you'll have to really switch. Well, there are a couple ways of doing it. We will explore them later. So I'm trying to get this point in space somewhere there, and I'm failing miserably. So for that, yeah, it's really cool. It has the snapping functions that are not always easy to modify. So I'll just I just need a space, I need some dot in up there, so then I can use it to snap my sphere tool. So that looks good enough. I'm using the cutout tool, Alt C on my keyboard. And let's again draw this again. Now we have the point and we're able to make the connection. It's kind of high in the sky, so let's cut it out over there, and let's just cut it out. Right, so we don't have any support on the floor. When you will start looking for these frames, you'll see a lot of custom-made frames that are really simple. They're really basic. You can see this cross crease pattern. It's quite common. I'll try to explore later on something more complex than that, but for now that will do. And I'll switch to the drawing tool and draw this like that and move it somewhere here, because I need to set up a point. Maybe over there. It's good enough. And then I'll just cut it and do the straight line over there. So it's like cover for the against the sun or something like that. Maybe it's too brutal, too big, but doesn't matter too much. So I'll connect this here because I still don't have the dashboard. I need to create a dashboard. Maybe I'll drop it. Doesn't want to drop properly. Let me make the dashboard over here. I'll probably delete the top part. It's not looking that great. Let me just grow this bit out, right? And then switch to line tool. So here I would start using some hotkeys because I have to. You want to switch between those like brush modes real quick. Alright, so it seems like it's got some visibility, maybe not the best one, so I can modify it later. Let's move it across. Okay, and now press F5, my hotkey, to activate the shadows. Doesn't really help too much to understand what's going on, but we kind of, we already got a car pretty much, and you can do so many frames, so easy to do that. That's quite, mind-boggling. I think I don't have much in front, so let's just draw something in front. It's getting a bit slow, don't know why so slow. And here just free drawing. And you can use it. Okay, you can see I've created some redundant structure at the bottom. So try to clean out carefully. You can even just draw this by hand and then use the line tool, sphere line tool, on a separate layer to do a cleanup job. That would be quite easy because just free drawing allows you to do points in the space in a bit more logical way than the line tool. So for example, if I now duplicate that layer and clear it out using backspace as a hotkey to clear everything, and then I'll go sphere tool, line tool, dumb, and I hide that. I have now a much better frame, and there you go. A little trick you can do if you go into geometry and hit smooth all and hit it a few times. I have it on my F12 hotkey. It's a bit too much. You get a really nice organic shape right here, and it's amazing actually. It's like pretty high tech, something that's quite hard to manufacture today. It's possible, but not just by welding it all together like enthusiasts do. And we get a nice thinning in the areas that, like in the top areas where you don't really need that much of structural support, and we still hold this really nice thick beams in the major structures, and that's a little nice trick. So I was looking at the frame and I realized that I made it way too wide for the passengers, so we have a lot of free space here. And while you can conceive it as a place for like water or extra luggage or whatever, it's not really something that usually done, so I decided that I can do a little modification here, and so I'll duplicate the car frame just in case, and I'll use the cut off tool to brutally just cut off the whole part around here. Just cut it out, then cut it out like this as well. The thing is, like, we still have all our connection points, and it's really easy to recreate using the sphere tool these spots if we want to introduce these changes. And you can see it's now intersecting the foot, but we can change it as well. It's no big deal. But it's a much tighter car body now. It's a bit more practical, a bit more real world, a bit more common for production. So at any point of time, even if you just delete half of the model, you can always reconstruct it quite easily by cutting out and bringing few parts back. So the car frame is done, so let's jump into our topper room to create the surfacing and car body of this vehicle. You can't really do it inside the sculpt room. So here I already have some stuff I've done before. I'll just go and clean everything. So topper clear mesh. I'll be using points in the faces, and I'll just put the points here, and they're really pretty easy and straightforward. I put them there, then right click, create a panel, and it didn't work out, so you have to like navigate your brush a little bit. Okay, I've got this, and I've got this. Then I'll switch to quartz to carry on, because quartz is a little bit more responsive tool. It doesn't jump around that much, though it still kind of jumps. And let me do this triangle there, and then okay, it snapped in the wrong point. Got the hood, and let me do this. Then I'll go back to points and faces, and it allows me to create an edge loop right here, pressing Control. And then I go to quartz, back to the quartz, and draw this frame, and this guy. So I have some basic bodies in place. Right now I want to go into Rotopper and apply symmetry to all layers. Now I have it baked and a fully symmetrical model, and go to Sculpt and bring Rotopper mesh to Sculpt mesh right here. So now we got this guy. Then what we want to do is we want to add divisions to this car body, because otherwise it's well, smooth and it doesn't show any shapes. First and first, I want to thicken this mesh a little bit. Otherwise, if we go and resample it, it might fail like this. So let's go and thicken, thickness 1. Still kind of fails to do it properly. And that actually was because I had a thickness set to too high a value. I need to put it at really like 0.2 and it will be fine. Alright, so now I have some thickness to it. And I want to resample it to some really high value, to like 200,000 pretty much triangles. Hit apply. And we get this type of a look. It's pretty cool, I think. So let me smooth it. And smooth it again. We have some basic car body in place. Just playing with materials to see how it looks. One last thing I want to do on this car sketch is to do the wheels essentially. So let's do some simple wheel design. And I will start with the pose tool. And I want to change the symmetry here. I want to go into radial symmetry mode, change the axis, something like X or Z, pick from bounding box, I think it's Z, and no, it's X. Alright, I can see 4 points. I want to make them more like 12 at the moment. I'll draw the shape and just push it in. And then I'll press F12 a few times to get it a bit of a smoother look. And now I will start using the Vox Hide tool. So Vox Hide tool allows you to hide the volumes and keep them in the reserve, right? So if you can do this to hide it, and then press Control to unhide, which is pretty awesome. This wheel looks a bit too low res, so let's jump to like 250,000 triangles. I also want to add another part on the mirror. I want to have an extra mirror right here. And let's add, let's do some designs. You can spend like a lot of time just playing around with this and then unhiding and hiding stuff. Like it just can suck you forever doing this. So I kind of don't want to spend too much time, so I feel like that's about what I want to get. And I'll delete everything that's been hidden. Geometry, delete hidden. I have a little hotkey for that, the tilde. And then I will, for example, hide this volume. Then go from the top and hide from the top. Then go. Okay, I'll need to do it here. And I did unhide from the top, and I got a little nice like sharp line over there, so I can also go and do unhide from here and get a bit of a sharp line there. It's pretty tiny though, so let me hide it again. Turn off the extra mirror. Change the shape to rectangular, and yeah. There we go. Little, very simple wheel design. So this is it for the wheels. So the last part is creating the engine. So we'll use primitives and have the wheel cylinder selected there. I'll just make it a bit bigger, squash it a bit, hit apply, and then I want to use a transform tool to place it in place. So let's say domain center. It's a really simple, like simplified version of an engine, and we have it like we'll imagine it to be an electric engine, so electric motor is simpler. So I'll put it in the middle of the driving shaft. This is like our torque box or whatever. Then move it away, make it much bigger. Go delete the stuff. And that box is going to be our electric motor. Then the box is good enough to be the battery as well. So we put it at the floor at the bottom. We have some space here. Let's make it bigger. So we might have multiple batteries, right? One in the back, one in the front. And that's it really for the engine. So this is it for the sketch of the vehicle. We don't have any car seats, we don't have the steering wheel, no dashboard, details are lacking, no lights. But I really wanted to convey the idea of how to create a fairly quick sketch that is still at the same time quite accurate. And in the next part of this tutorial, I'll start doing a proper flash style version of it all, with less of a narration and more of a time lapsing of the process. So thank you for watching, and let's move on to the next part.